Hello and welcome to Hybrid Power by chinkseyMEDIA. Every word from Mikel Arteta's pre-Aston Villa presser. Days after beating Brentford, Mikel Arteta was back facing the press ahead of our trip to Aston Villa on Saturday, December the 6th. Bear in mind I'm filming this straight after the Aston Villa game. Mikel provided an injury update and assessed our opponents who we faced today at Villa Park at 12:30. Here's everything the boss had to say at the Sober Royalty Training Centre. On Declan Rice's availability, let's see, I think with all the questions I'm going to get, the answer unfortunately is going to be the same. We have another training session in the afternoon. Every hour is going to be very important to see the availability of the players. After that, we'll decide which ones are available. Well, I always maintained, and I did already say after the Brentford post-match presser, that Declan Rice will play, and he did. On Mosquera's fitness, that's the one that is more complicated. But again, we have another test today to see where we are at with them, where it was made clear that Mosquera was out for the remainder of the calendar year. So we won't see him until January at the earliest anyway. On William Saliba and Leandro Trossard being close, it's a matter of days with those two for sure. Well, Saliba wasn't in the squad today. Trossard played and scored and came off again. So if it's a matter of days, you would think that Saliba's in contention for Brugge on Wednesday, whereas Trossard may have aggravated his injury today. On if the quality of football suffers in a schedule, the only thing I can say is that whenever it's possible to help and give the players an extra day or hours to fulfill their maximum potential, let's do it. That's it. We are ready for tomorrow's game, that's for sure. On facing Aston Villa, for what they've been doing, the way they've been playing and winning matches, certainly it's a team that is in great form, and we know that. We know obviously the manager, an incredible job he's done there as well. So we know the task tomorrow, but we always take it as an opportunity. Well, I mean, everything encompassing Aston Villa's form, the fact that the fans gave them the extra impetus, Unai Emery factor, Ollie Watkins being an Arsenal fan, Emiliano Martinez being an ex-Arsenal player, Daniel Marlin being an ex-Arsenal player, and so on and so forth. We didn't play well. We've had a lot of injuries, especially in the back line, and Aston Villa deserved the win. So, tough game, but we have to dust ourselves down and win the next game. On if Unai Emery has any extra motivation facing Arsenal, I don't know. I think when you look at Unai Emery, his career, his motivation level, everywhere he's had an impact, it's all been remarkable. So I don't know. That's a question for him. But in my opinion, he never needs anything extra. I think he's good enough in himself. I think Arteta knows that he's extra motivated, but him saying that he will be doesn't have any benefit to us. So he's just answered it like a politician, really, and I don't blame him. On if this is another statement match, consistency again to perform at the highest level and win another game, and then we'll go back to the same question to the Champions League and then next weekend, because that's the nature of the game, and that's exactly how we have to take it every game. Today we lost only the second game we have this season, and I don't think there's a team across Europe who have lost less than twice. But then again, as I said that, I just realised Bayern Munich was that team, but we beat Bayern Munich. But with the exception of us and Bayern Munich, I don't think there's a team that I've lost less than 3 times this season, a top team anyway. I stand to be corrected on that though. On what winning our match does to the other title rivals. Every time you win a game, obviously, you are a little bit closer to your objective, and that's the only thing that we can do. We have to focus on performing, preparing really well for tomorrow. We know the kind of game that we're going to play and be ready for it to fulfill our potential. Villa played really well, especially first half. I felt in the second half, especially at the beginning of the second half, we came into it and looked really good and looked, in a position to take the 3 points. However, Villa wrestled the game back into their favour and they ended it really strongly. We was kind of hanging on in there, really. And they nicked it, they pinched it right at the death, which is a kick in the nuts. But you got to dust yourself down and keep going. It's going to be a marathon. It's not going to be easy at all. On what Mosquera's injury is, an ankle injury. Wow. very blunt, very vague. Doesn't seem happy about that question. On Calafiori being on 4 yellows this season, and if it impacts his lineup or if it's an in-game dilemma. Both, especially against Brentford and especially with the situation that we had in the end of the game, at the end of the game with the backline and the numbers that we have there. But it didn't happen, so it's good news. Well, it did happen today, and Calafiori is going to miss the Wolverhampton Wanderers game, which begs the question, does Calafiori now start the game against Club Brugge, or does Miles Lewis-Skelly start the next 3 games, which is the Club Brugge game, Wolverhampton Wanderers game? So that should be interesting, given the fact that Calafiori had a poor game today. It's a chance for Miles Lewis-Skelly to stake his claim now at left back. On Ollie Watkins and his threat, I think the collective threat that they have in terms of how they generate chances and what they do so well, then obviously the quality that they have up front from different players. Well, I mean, Aston Villa didn't really play with width. What they did was play with a lot of central players. People like Morgan Rogers, John McGinn, Onana, Tielemans, people like that. They kind of block off the centre of the pitch. They get their width from people like Ian Matson and Matty Cash, who played well today. So, yeah, they gave us a real tough game. I felt like once we kind of subdued them, I thought we were going to go on to win the game. But then they got their second wind. And obviously the fans kind of generated that energy, and the players transmitted it into getting a late winner, which was hard to take. On if Aston Villa are title challengers, if they continue where they are already, so if they continue what they've been doing, I think any club, any team in that position has chances for sure. Well, Aston Villa are 3 points behind us after beating us, so they're going to have to be. On if his squad is in the best place it's been under him, we've built a squad that I believe was the best one to give us the opportunity to do it. Is it what I want to be? No, because of the injuries that we have. To have a squad means that the players have to be fit and available, because it has a lot of consequences, not only during matches but also in the way that we prepare for the week and the options that we have to change and keep the presence in the team. But certainly very happy with how we deal with certain situations. Well, I mean, we've been told that we have great strength in depth and had a great squad and spent a lot of money, but as per, we're getting decimated with injuries, and it's definitely taking its toll. Yes, the quality is out there, but I mean, it's the kind of cohesion, the lack of cohesion isn't there, because the players that are playing in defence aren't used to playing with each other. So the kind of defensive shape, the rigid, regimented shape that we've had across the season, making us hard to beat, hard to score against, it's been really put to the test, and we kind of got punished for it today. Especially when you couple all those factors and you're playing against the most informed side in the league. On if teams will drop out of competitions because of the fixture schedule. Hopefully we don't get to that point and everything is manageable. We all learn from it and we carry on in what we do. Yeah, I don't think Arteta's happy with the scheduling and the injury situation. You can tell by the way he's answering the questions. On if Saliba and Trossard will be fit. As I said before, after the training session, we'll know more. So yeah, the typical after the training session answer. But in fairness, he was already asked this question. On if Mikel Merino will be considered as a striker when all strikers are fit. I think he has earned at least the thinking behind it with the way he's performing and the impact that he's bringing to the team. So that's a yes. Well, he didn't have a good game today. He got out-muscled a lot. So as I predicted, Jimenez to be substituted at half-time for the following players, Leandro Trossard and Victor Gyökeres, and both came on at half-time. On if he's grown into the position, yeah, and they are playing together, even with Victor. It can be with Gabi Jesus, and there are things that we have prepared during the summer because of the squad that we have, and so far we haven't been able to do. What can I say? He's played well up until today. But for me now, Gyökeres has to come back into the side on Wednesday. On managing his players when rotating, we haven't had this situation too many times. I think the problem would be the other one, that you bring somebody in and he doesn't perform, and then the decision is so easy not to play him again. We are not in that position, which is the position that we want to be in, which is exactly that. We have people in contention, whether it's to start the game or to finish the game or to play whenever the team needs his qualities. That's what we have at the moment with every player. Well, every player but barring Ethan Nwaneri, that is. Ethan Nwaneri's got to play on Wednesday. He's got to play the whole game, and he's got to play the whole game against Crystal Palace. I mean, I'm starting to feel sorry for him now that he's not getting any time on the pitch. So if you're not going to play the kid, then loan him out in January. On the challenges of having everyone fit, I hope that we are in that position, and then again we can maintain and decide for the freshness of the team and what is required on that day. What is the best squad to take? A problem that obviously a lot of clubs in this country are very familiar with. I mean, today, the fact that Jurriën Timber had to move inside at centre-half affected his game. You know, he had a goodish game. However, when he's at right-back, he's always excellent. So that's already affected him. With Hincapié, he's playing with a player who he hasn't played alongside. In Timber, they both played in the same team, but not next to each other. In terms of Calafiori, he had his worst game of the season for sure. For me, I feel he was at fault for the first goal because he was too far inside, meaning that Eberechi Eze was at left fullback, and obviously he was all at sea for the goal that Matty Cash scored. So it's to do with the positioning and just the unfamiliarity of the players that were playing together in that back line, with Ben White coming in for a second game in succession after a fantastic performance against Brentford in midweek. So all of that reshuffling, too many changes, and we got punished for it. And if he's worried about Mosquera's fitness, no, we need to know, because the feeling that we had after the game and yesterday, we need to corroborate with other testing that we do today. Well, like I said already, he was out for the remainder of the year. We will not see him until January. On if the injuries impact any January transfer dealings, we always have to be prepared. I mean, the moment that we have an option to touch the squad, to bring to the squad, or to protect the squad, depending on what happens, I think we need to be open. For example, what's going to happen from here till the window is closed as well. It's football, so we don't know. But we're certainly going to be alert, and we know where the risk can come in terms of the squad, and be ready just in case we have to do something. Okay, that was slightly a waffling, paragraph, but essentially he's saying we can be in the market for players in January because of the injury crisis that we have. And if anyone could leave in January, at the moment, obviously, we haven't had a situation, as we mentioned before, where players are out of the squad for 3 or 4 weeks in a row. At the moment, we know that the squad we are full framing with the players that are fit. So at the moment, it's very clear that there's no option to do that. Okay, so Ethan Nwaneri will remain on the bench for probably the rest of the season. Free Ethan. On what he learnt from last season's injuries, you certainly learn from those situations, I think. Looking for solutions and being positive and transmitting that positivity and belief to the team is the main thing, because you cannot do anything about it. We have injuries that are totally uncontrollable, especially the ones that were long-term last season. This season, a lot of other things happened as well. Learn from the things that we can control as well, and the areas that we can improve. First of all, myself, and take it as it comes and enjoy the ride. Well, Martin Odegaard came back from injury, in recent weeks. He's come off the bench in a few games and started a few games. But today he was outstanding, actually. He seemed like he was back to his best. The way he was linking up with Saka, the way he was gliding across the pitch, slaloming through players, getting shots off. That's the Martin Odegaard that we know is a world-class player. However, we need to see end product. We need to see goals and assists. I think also him in the team affected Eze. I think Eze had a poor performance, and it was because he was shifted onto the left to accommodate Odegaard. So it's almost like it's one or the other, because I don't think Eze off the left really works. So you've got to be bold now and say, right, captain on the bench, or Eze, inform Eze, hat-trick hero Eze, and North London derby on the bench. So this is a problem that we're going to have for the rest of the season, because I think now we have to understand that on the left wing, it's got to be one from three. Trossard, Martinelli or Madueke, and either you play Eze and Odegaard or one or the other. I don't think Eze off the left, especially against Aston Villa, is the way forward. And if Martin Odegaard can play every 3 days, I think he's certainly capable of doing that once the injury is resolved. You see the stats, what he did in midweek after 6 or 7 weeks out. It's incredible. We just have another player, another top player that gives us a lot, gives us something different to what we have in those positions. So I'm very happy to have him. Yeah, I mean, I was actually surprised that I wasn't surprised that Odegaard started, but I was surprised that Odegaard and Eze started. So in essence, I was surprised that Eze was off the left. But a few of the boys during the week did say they thought Odegaard would start, and I didn't disagree with them. I just thought Eze would start. So it was either be both of them start, which did happen, but I didn't think Eze would be off the left. So if, in essence, if both started, then I would have thought they'll both be central, or Odegaard would be on the bench. Well, I think we learnt today that especially in a game against a top side, it's got to be one or the other, with a more traditional winger on the left. On having more options as a manager, great. I think it's something that I haven't experienced much, especially through long periods of time since I've been here. And it's great. Before the game, it's great because you can think about different ways, different relationships. You can accommodate players for the game that you expect to play. And what is great is that when you look at the bench and you can say, now we can change the game. Or last year when we were in February to May, look there, we had 2 players really. So that's a huge difference. Well, yeah, there's strength and depth, but as I said already at the beginning of the podcast, if there's strength and depth, it means you have quality when you have injuries. But when you do have injuries, you're now playing mix and match players who aren't used to playing with each other. And that could be the difference in terms of fine lines, fine margins, especially when you're playing an informed side like Aston Villa. Put it this way, just to summarise things. If you're going to have an injury crisis, the last team you'd want to have one against is the most informed side in the league, in Aston Villa. But once again, I reiterate, Aston Villa were the better team today. They deserved the win, albeit in dramatic circumstances with virtually the last kick of the game. But we're going to dust ourselves down and hopefully we get 2 wins next week against Club Brugge and Wolverhampton Wanderers, and we'll get back on track in our pursuit of this title, which I still think we're going to win.